Hello, and welcome. I'm Nick, and welcome to another edition of DooM WAD Travelogue, the show where we say, even though it is still not a great idea to be going outside right now, that doesn't mean we can't explore new and interesting places. We're just doing it through the method of community built Doom WADs and level sets and stuff and things like that. Um, so, uh, I've been enjoying Golden Souls, even if that may not always be apparent because I enjoy things by picking them apart and finding flaws. That's apologies, but also I gotta be me, and that is how I enjoy things. So whatever. Um, but I decided, let's mix it up, make sure that we don't sort of overdose and smoke the whole pack at once. Um, and I was digging through, perusing, and very quickly I picked out something called Ultimate Simplicity, which I love the sound of that. First of all, that's One Must Fall music. All right, so it's already a good choice. The silly music that I love. Um, so the way that this was pitched to me, I guess, yeah, it is not, um, it is something that tries to use the sort of like power of ZDoom and modern clients, uh, and use what it has available, but without resorting to like gimmicks everywhere, right? It's not a gimmick, it's not an overpower gimmick WAD. It's just like, hey, here's some ways that you can use this to actually enhance what is otherwise a very like base Doom experience. So I'm really excited to see what that gets into. Just going from this, man, this was not meant to be played in widescreen format, huh? All right, that's fine. Let's get into it. For those of you who are just joining us, and I'm gonna remember to say it this time, we are here for the exploration, not for the challenge. So we play on the easiest difficulty, and if something really, we really run into a wall in terms of, challenge or puzzles or something like that, sometimes stuff just breaks. But we'll use God mode or no clip or whatever it takes to see more of the levels. Sometimes, sometimes looking back at some recent episodes, I think sometimes we don't jump to that end quick enough. But we'll see how today goes. Um. Okay. Shotgun start. For Wow. Okay. So for being a starting room, this room's already playing with a lot of a lot of smart things. Um. First of all, I like the blue of the skybox. It's very it helps build a good color palette because so the rest of these look like vanilla. Um, why is my mouse moving? Okay, the rest of these look like vanilla textures, but no, that grading is not. I'm pretty sure. But you look at what we have here, and we're playing with the layers to decorate walls already. Uh, we have the height. We're playing with height in this room already. A lot of detail on this, like material work on this ceiling. It's a very strong start. You do want a strong start, right? You want to come on strong and then show that you can build it up from there, and then you can work into the rest of your pacing from the bit. But it's like, your first impression is important. Make sure they say, because you get better as you work on something, the first thing that is seen should maybe be the last thing that you make, so that way it is the best thing you make, depending on how you do it, burning yourself out on it. I like that a lot. Shotgun start. Just okay. So just look at these steps, and we're playing with, the lining these floor zones with a separate texture. We have the alternating texture so that helps to read as separate steps, that it helps to read as separate sections. And then the little bits of shading in here too to add. It feels like detail work, even though it's just like it's a subtle color change, right? Cool. And then, don't tell me what to do. All right, I'm gonna have to remember to do that to check on my health. Okay, if you're gonna like open the like shotgun start, sure, but if you're gonna open the door immediately onto two sergeants, onto a room full of sergeants, that's, you're not pulling punches. That's like a, all things considered, that's actually a pretty harsh start. You either gotta go. Oh, this is an open section. I don't know what it is to me that makes a room feel like it's open up top. I don't know if it's because like the screens or the lighting or what it's doing with the floor here, but this doesn't feel open top to me, even though it does have the skybox up there. Oh, I love this light work. Different. Those are normally wall textures, aren't they? But they made it into two different floor textures so that it would go along the two axes. Wow. So, like, using, right, that's not going to work. Using, sort of vanilla textures, but in a, non-traditional ways. Okay, that's good. God, yeah, just look at the layers of material up there. That's really good. We know that's the door that we came in, because it's the only door like that in here. That one's locked, and so we go this way. Hey, folks. All right, playing with sight lines. Whoa, whoa, why? I do like... I really was not expecting that. How come I wasn't expecting that? Okay, give you... surprise you with that and then give you the health anyway. Alright, that's one thing to do. Give me 1 second here. How do I do that? Yeah, like that. Alrighty. Whoops. Right. Hey, y'all remember auto run? Hey, how do I get out of this? Uh-oh. I gotta make it bigger? I gotta make it bigger. There we go. Alright, things that I'm learning about the tool that I've been using this whole time. Alright. So. That's okay. So smart again. So we went in there, we hit the switch, and then, yes, it released a monster closet on us, but it then also created this straight ahead sight line. So, again, if you're not going to put your switch and what it affects both in sight at the same time, you kind of can't miss this because it's a straight hallway into a tiny door into directly what it changed, which is something you wanted that wasn't accessible is now accessible. And also you're still in picking that up. You're like, that's smart. That is like first of all, forcing you into a specific path and eye line, but then more than that, like using that and saying like, okay, so I know this is where you're going to be at. What do I want you to see and know from this point? This is, we've seen like 4 rooms so far, and I'm really impressed, really enjoying this. Oh. Alright, didn't pull the same trick on us. Materials and layers here? Man. Okay. A lot of going back and forth. Every time you hit a switch, you need to, like, go back to the hub to see the next bit. And that's fine. The hub is also very close. Alright. Not a button to open a door, but a mechanism to open a door. Okay, this was it, right? It's a little... I don't know, it's well decorated, but it's a little bland and simple, but it's well decorated. Like, did this need to be a separate room? You at least needed this wall so that it would block the sight line of the pinky until you got to the middle of this room. You needed the wall for at least that, but like, maybe you didn't need this wall. Maybe it could have been like a loop around, or... Hey, when does a doorway stop being a doorway? If you have 2 rooms next to each other, and you have a tiny hole cut between, and that's your doorway, what if it's double wide? What if it's half of the wall? What if the doorway just takes up the whole wall? Is it then still a separate room, or do we consider that the same room now because there is no dividing barrier at all? Yep. No, good. That was really good. Give you a thing to focus on, and then say, okay. Either that was perfect timing, or one of the things it's using ZDoom for was to check for, like, all of these actors to be dead before revealing the switch again. Oh, and that was the exit. And also short and sweet. This is hitting so many really good, like, checkboxes on what I like in a level. Wow, and like animated, automatic. Automatic level transitions. All right. That was just a miss. That was just... That's... Hey, how are we doing? Oh, we're doing fine. We even have full armor. All right. Red door. Blue door. Good non-standard door lighting marking, but uses the same, like, visual language that we know. It's the door is rimmed with lights the color of the key we need. Right? Or am I just making that assumption? No, yeah, okay, good. Leaving you with one path to go, so you don't really, like... Again, a way of making something that's actually linear feel hub-based, because even there is only one path you can go, it is the one accessible branch off of something that is branched. Hey, I really like this... is this like a courtyard? Do we want to call it that? Okay, well, if we drop, we get the chain gun, but it's this... Oh, and then there's a stairway back up. Okay. Okay, well, then we should do that. I'm really surprised that didn't unleash something bigger on us. This good sky, this good overhang. This extremely shallow staircase. I kind of like... classic Doom really relied on lift platforms, right? Um, and I would betcha that it actually had something to do with like memory limitations, because every side definition here, right? So even just this piece, when we look at it, right? Um, this could have been all one floor, but it's 2 floors. More than that, it could have just had, 1 point in the corner where lower square, upper square, but it's this jagged cutout. So every one of these corners means that this is broken into, instead of 2 lines, this is now 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 lines total. And each line has like position and side texture and top texture, and like maybe it'll have like an action if you push it. That is an option it needs to account for. And does it adjust lighting anywhere? What are the texture offsets of the texture being displayed on it? Is it a two-sided texture? I touched it before I was done explaining, and I threw myself off. Funny, even if you go this way, you get a chain gun right away, because there was a chain gunner in here. Just the one. That was almost a freebie. I like the stone here as the back layer of the materials. Just like that is built into like a cliff wall, because there's the stone wall that is butted up against. That's a lot of folks. All right. How did they all get over here? Did they teleport in? Something move in? Oh no. Hate those guys. So the idea that like in by definitions of like memory use, stairs are more expensive, because again, how many stairs, how many floors, how many heights, how many textures, but then if you make it an elevator, it's just one. And then yeah, it moves a little bit, but any of these could move, so it's really just using what it has. That's the like, oh, it lifted this floor. That's what has changed now. I didn't even, oh, the other thing that's changed, I guess. So now we can access this. Good. Oh! Got a chance to fire. So yeah, it totally makes sense that the, oh, hello. It totally makes sense that the original Doom vibe is rely on elevators because of technical reasons, right? Sure. But do I like stairs? Because when you're working with elevators, right, you do need to use that to like establish that visual language that says like, hey, this texture means that this is a wall you can interact with, and it will be an elevator, and yada yada, right? And nothing wrong with establishing a visual language, because then you get to subvert it and play with it. Maybe, if you want to remove trust that you've built up with the user about how things work. User, player, same thing technically. Do you use a game? You play a game. Okay, no, because that's like a definition about hierarchy of terms, because like games can be software, but games can also be not software. So that means because you use software, but you would play games even when games are software, because there are times when games are not software. So they exist. They are not purely a subclass of software, right? Sometimes I wonder why I'm tired all the time, and sometimes I just know and understand why. This is how I'm relaxing at the end of the long day. Remember. The switches that disappear as you hit them, I kind of like that. I don't know why. Huh? Just listening for the sounds to know when to dodge. That's all right. See, like, this is a good reason. Like, you know, this goes back to that doorway problem that I don't want to call him an idiot. He thought he was clever than he was when he wrote this piece, right? Because he was saying just like, oh, you know, we want to have the fight on the stairwell, but if we just put the monsters there, then you use this doorway as cover. It's like, yeah, no, here's what you do is you make us go to the bridge, and then the fight doesn't start till here by one form of another, you know? It's called an ambush. If you want a fight to happen somewhere specific, you ambush the person, the player, the whatever at that point. Oh, we came down here. Oh, this window was behind the blue door. Okay, so this window was kind of foreshadowing. It's just very... The eye line goes up so you don't get a sense of what's in the rooms. Oh, I remember here. We were just here. Why? What a rude room. And we're waiting for something over on the left side. I haven't been able to breathe and look. Red key. Ouch. Like, still fine, but ouch. Ooh, I swear we'd be able to step up that, but blocked on purpose. Okay. Was that there before? I don't think that was there before. I think they know exactly... So, okay, items getting spawned in definitely makes it feel like, hey, it makes it feel more like a horror house, a haunted house ride, you know, because it's just like, hey, we know what we're doing to you, but don't worry, behind the scenes we're trying to make it so you're having a good time. But like, it's behind the scenes, so it's a hidden, but it's also like totally obvious that it is done. It is, you know, there's an invisible hand or what have you. Yeah, all right. No, destruction bonus. What? Oh, because it's wow, marking bonuses based on your completion percentages. That's cute. Used to suck. All right. I love this director's commentary. Oh. Hey, I bet you that's not actually layered. The easier thing to do is to just, like, bake in the layering. Oh, that's an interesting idea. Bake in the layering. That would be pretty cheap in terms of... Okay, so we don't have a blue key. It's not actually a blue key. Okay. Hey, how come you made that look like a door when it's not a door, and also there's not toxin behind it? It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Anyone else? Okay, so is that the, like, old school style of monster teleporter? Where, like, there's just a hidden room somewhere where, like, the monsters can hear you, and so they, like, get aggroed, but they, there's just, like, a teleporter against the wall, and you have to sort of, like, rely on them to wander into that teleporter to be warped in, because that causes that, like, staggering effect of the warps. Oh yeah, no, hit each other. All right, more good courtyards. I need to do a courtyard level like this. You know, I tried to, and Maybe I did it wrong. Maybe I did it bland. I should take another stab at it. That was the one that I did some work on here on stream. It was that temple one. I finished it off stream, and I kind of finished it with a big courtyard, but wasn't super happy with it. You know what? I don't even remember the last levels that I worked on. Okay, so is that gonna pop out later? How are we gonna get to that switch? And that's hey, is that a no? Hey, these days you gotta find out. Ooh, love this blue room. Because this is not the standard blue wall texture. It is related to it. Maybe like a slightly... Looks like somebody played with the levels on it or something. Really brought out the mid-tones. You only get color like this using a vacuum tube amp, you know? Would they have had vacuum tube video amplifiers? I mean, that's not impossible. It makes a certain amount of sense. Oh no. Hey, stop. Stop being more of you. So, whoa, hey, whoa. Okay. I love the colors of this courtyard, honestly. And we're seeing this thing a lot where it's the like every big set piece room like this is playing with this floor inset style, and then also where it's if this is an inset, is this an upset? No, I guess that would be outset, huh? The overhangs match, right? So, oh, this one's a little... Well, so this piece has the indented corners here, right? And this has the indented corners, but we'll see that that's not actually where it's lined up. This shape is smaller than this shape. This shape matches that one up there. Which, okay, by the way, is actually the crazier one, because that means that the way that this one is drawn is that that big square up there is actually sliced up because it matches this corner here. So the very corner here had to be a separate cut, so that way it would be square on the ceiling and beveled here on the floor. That's an attention to detail. Did I pick the bad switch? I mean, that's like the tricks and traps mindset, right? It's like, here's 8 switches. One of them's the one you want. The rest you really don't want. No, they're all bad. All right, great. Love it. Although that one revealed a key. Ah, bye. No, I want this for the big guy. Because chain gun probably has better DPS. Like, probably especially at a range, because I bet the spread, something about spread, projectile count, and something else means that the chain gun, like, over a longer distance will have a higher DPS, and the shotgun only has a higher DPS, like, within a certain range where you can land with every pellet on every shot. What do we achieve here? Blue key. No. Yeah. Yeah. Where would we use blue key? Right, because that was the whole thing, right? Is that all of these are lined. Okay, I guess it's this one. Okay, I guess we'll be going up there eventually. Oh, the box variant. First of all, shiny boxes, love it. Second of all, with the bullet hole variant leaking its contents. That's who just fills a box with slime? I guess that's how gelatinous cubes are born. Yep, there that goes. And spawn into monsters. That's almost more worrisome. Is it? Hey, which side did we come in on? Oh, we came in there. Alright, let's go. Let's do this. Bring me up top, Chumbo. Chumbo? Like Chumbo Wumbo thub thumping? Hey, did I mention that I intend to keep this a short stream tonight? Because I had kind of a rough day. Oh, 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 rude. Not until you set off the one on the far end do they spawn in a bunch behind you. Okay. So I'm not super sure how I feel about that, right? Because it's like... Oh, wait. Okay, good. So how does that make me, you, whoever, how does that make the player feel? You go through, you clean all of this out, and then... So like, you do the work, and you know the space, and you've learned something about the space, right? And then there's like a magic that says suddenly you don't know the space anymore. Suddenly, like, it's this... Like, it's almost this weird feeling of just like... We took the things that you learned to be true and understood and just made them not true anymore. It's a good way to make, like... It's like the non-Euclidean space thing, right? It's just like, okay, you're going to look around at the four walls, but then at one point you're going to turn around, there's going to be a fifth wall with a door on it, and you're just like, where did that come from? And it's that sort of like uncanny, unsettling feeling. But the idea that we did the work to clear this hallway out, it also makes it feel like we weren't just discovering more room, it was undoing work that we did, and that's not a great feeling. I mean, in a case like that, use like actual monster closets, right? Like add more space, because then it's like, okay, you believe you understand this space, and you've done work to this space, and we're not changing that, but we are adding more to the space, so there's more for you to understand, and there's a way for us to throw new things into the mix, right? I'm really not a fan of the... That's exactly what I wanted to hear. What is a sewer sector? Is that this? No, wait, this is just a window, because we get there from down there. Like, there's a lot about the very, like, the geometric design of this level, these levels that I really like. But all things considered, it's so far relying a lot on, like, warping monsters in, and just, like, in general, I'm not a fan of that for reasons. Is this an out or just a... No, that's just where we came back. Okay. Hey, where the heck is this sewer section? What are you talking about? Like, thank you for being very clear and explicit. What? Hey, question. Is this bit that looks like a sewer not the sewer part that you were talking about? Do I have to touch it? No. This detailing on the outside, I do love it because it's over a ridge on the outside, you actually don't notice it most of the time, right? It's only when you get up on it that you can even tell. But also the idea of like the blockading, the wall, it's like a foot high wall. The like warning marking is actually further in than the actual edge, so that's like a rational safety measure, I guess. All right, that was I guess it's this because this is the thing that's open. Oh, this is how we get up here. Well, why? Oh, so just completely inexplicable traversal. I guess it works. I'm still not a big fan, but yeah, I guess it works. This is a lot like the Doom 1 ending screen, now that I think about it, showing you the level as you left it. I do like that. Whoops. Danger start. I'm just... Okay, So, again, talk about our level connectors. We start on a warpin, which is funny because we didn't end on one. But fun. Hey, rude! Yeah, no, you know what? I'm actually like seriously mixed on that now because it's like another good really likes to have courtyards in this level set. Also, they're all really good courtyards, and I do like that so far they've all been pretty much like fairly short levels that have been using that courtyard as a hub, and you don't go too far from it. You kind of like wrap out from it a little bit, but then you don't go that far, and it keeps the map pretty short. And I'm pretty into that. Whoa. All right. Double courtyard. I'm a fan. And again, I think the like making that sky that nice like evening twilight blue going sideways, making this sky this like nice evening twilight blue is really good for the color palette. Like I don't think. Wow, what texture is that? That's a single texture. Maybe that's a new texture. Maybe that is like a mix of old textures. Huh. I think that's what's going on there. Oh, but I love this vibe. I love the blue and the brown. It's very reminds me of a map from Action Quake 2, and if you remind me of Action Quake 2, I like it more. I know the things that I'm a nostalgia sucker for. Okay, so is this gazebo gonna open up on us later? I'm guessing this is yellow key. Okay, we came in here, right? Oh, we can just go this. We can just wrap around. Did I check here? Oh, that opened the middle. Yeah, of course it did. And refresh the whole area. Sure, why not? Should deal with the hit scan first. Okay. Hey, buddy. See, and then this one is like a pretty nice, like, symmetrical combat arena. Not perfectly symmetrical, because it has the bump out on that side and we started on that side. But, okay. Nice basis. That's, I'm going to keep saying that, because I'm going to keep finding it to be true. You know, as long as I find it to be true, I'll say it, at least. Is this like the sort of wimpiest boss room I've ever seen? Boss prep room? What do you call it? Is it the boss hallway? I guess it's a boss hallway because it's the hallway up to the boss room. Nah! The boys. Oh. Okay. So I think eye line, like, is traced from eye height. But where do you project the... No, y'all are hitting me. Just barely. Hit scan can hit me over that. Okay, well... Hey, y'all are tall. You're also going to do, like, most of the work for me, but let me... It's okay. You can knock off early. I'll close up. See? No problem. That's... No, we had a different red key exit. Oh, hello. Yeah. Okay, well... What if we just hang out right here for a minute, right? Let them do with each other. Is that the plot of the movie The Ref, which is like the movie the Comedy Central had rights to back in the day, so they showed it all the time? Or am I the only one who remembers it that way? Alright, red keys. So... Okay, so. I'm gonna save here. Wow, we didn't say... Dead simple, more like. Right, because if we look here... Oh, unless... What in the world? Why would you not let it open like that? Oh! Ow. Stop it with that. You don't have time to be doing that. I'm right here. Alright, and then... So, what... Yeah, see what I mean? Staggered. Okay, but I just need to check for sure. Dead simple, more like. Instead of going through there... Because why would you create a door like that? Why would you create that door there like that? Is it just to be able to say that, like... Because, like, you always know you're looking for the exit, but is it just to tease us like this? And to think that, like... Is it because there was something in this room? I don't understand. You go this way, you just never see that hallway. That's... It says there's no secrets on that. That's weird. All right. Like if it were me, I might. I think I've got it this time. If that were me, I might hide a walk trigger in that door that you see first, so that way, if you do the work of backtracking, it does unlock a secret or something, and you are rewarded for the work of backtracking. I can't imagine why else it would be there then, except to be like, why is it? I checked it and I got nothing, but I really like, my gut tells me like, no, you do it this way. This is such like a non-standard way of doing it. Like there must be something to it. You must be doing it like this for a reason. If I don't find a reason, it's just because I missed it, not because there's not a reason. You know, it's one of those. That's kind of the conspiracy theory thought process, if I'm being honest. Did I get a backpack already? No. Ooh. I like that floor that is leveled just so the texture only really flashes when we pick something up because it flashes our whole vision. That's subtle. I don't think it was intended to work just like that, because that's such a relies so much on my specific like graphic settings that I don't know how you could make that intentional, but I like it. Is this? No, that's not where we came in from. Good. A lot of these cutouts for decoration too, I've been noticing. I'm a fan. It's a simple way to add texture and variance and okay, so texture in the direct way of that, you get to put a second texture on the wall and it's not jarring and just like checkerboarding between them, but also texture in the sense of like the surface is textured. The surface has like a tempo to it of like, you know, it's all one thing, but then cut out, cut out, cut out. It's that has that sort of tempo texture, I guess. Not just texture in the technical sense of the PNG what we slap on the wall. I don't like that these switches are so high. Like, so okay, eye height is right here. So that means, how would you like to do a switch that when you're done is down here, but you start up here? Like, ugh, that's ergonomically not great. If you work in this building and you're like a janitor and you gotta flip these switches all day, your arms are gonna get tired. Right. Still doing fine. No, I used Jotty ammo. Was this here? Yes, this is what I almost looked at. So, wait, let's keep rapping. Why not? I do like that all these segments around here are all very different, and we're going on a journey, and that journey, like, would have felt a little different, been in a different order, depending on where we started it from, even though, like, all starting points are valid. What is... Have we been in that space? I don't recognize it. See, there was that good one on the first map where we hit the switch and it dropped. And then, you know, the monster was right there behind it. That was a good spook. This just like, suddenly, It's like, it feels like the cheap jump scare. And, like, it feels, oh, excuse me, I'm a little burpy. It feels more disappointing here because so much about the, like the putting the effort into this, that could have been squared, but it's not even beveled, it's rounded. It's like twice beveled to get that effect. And it's, you know, 3 materials and its textures are aligned, and it's like you put in work to make these little bits so good. And look at the textures up there. It's recolored textures to increase the like level of visual variance that we're doing in here, right? And like, oh, that's so great. And then when it comes to like the gameplay design, it's just like a monster warps in before you can touch the button. Ooh, it's just like, it's another one of those like, yeah, it works, but like, okay, even I don't want to say that it's only which would be the kinder one to say. I don't want to say that like it stands out as bad because the rest of the level is so good. Like, honestly, if this were like a gray box level, these moments of I'm gonna warp a monster in to shock you versus I'm going to make you touch the thing that like that's, again, that's like what makes horror work in games, right? Because like when you're watching a horror movie, you can scream at the screen, yo, don't go in there, yo, don't go in there, and then the idiot goes in there and gets axe murdered or whatever. But like the thing that makes the game like stronger in those moments is you're telling yourself, oh, don't go in there, oh, don't go, but knowing that like, but in there is the button, in there is the exit, in there is the power up, in there is the whatever. And it's just like this, like you feel that you're not just like laughing watching the idiot on screen and like feeling separate from it. It puts you in it because you're just like, no, I know that's the tension, right? It's just like, you know, it's bad. Like, so like that even works in the movies, right? Because like, you know, it's bad and they're doing the bad thing. Games make that more because it's like, you know, it's bad and then you have to do the bad thing and you get like both sides of it, and it's so like intense and it works really well. And this like, the idea that you are driving your own demise is such like, because you have the ability to take actions, the idea that like every action you take furthers you closer to your own demise, and you can like have that sort of dramatic tension about like, okay, every action I take towards winning is also driving me towards my own demise, and we're gonna watch for the climax where it's, you know, a nail biter at the end, like a nail biter right at the end like that, you know what I mean? So the idea of just like, yeah, we're gonna like, it's kind of doing that because it's just like, here's a button, you gotta approach the button, right? You gotta approach the button, right? But then it's like, it just becomes a weird thing. It's like, oh, you're gonna like it kind of works, but it's like, all right, so what is my actual problem with this thing? Because like, yeah, it on paper it works. When I try to describe it, like, yeah, no, it's accomplishing the same thing, but what is the but? There is sort of a but of like, you need a little bit of tension of knowing like how bad it's going to be. It's like, or okay, so it's a difference of like sticking your hand in ice water or jumping in the pool, right? Because you go like, oh, I'm gonna do this and it's gonna be bad, and like you can like brace yourself for it and do it, and it's just like, oh, here we go, gah! And you know, and you can like build yourself for it. Then as soon as you have, you know, your friend at the party and is like watching you brace yourself for the pool and then just pushes you in, now your friend's the asshole. You know? It's like sometimes there's a shock of it, you know, or like relying entirely on like the surprise value for the shock rather than letting it like marinate in tension that you're building. Like we were watching yeah, maybe that's part of it, right? Because by like having that like extra little ahead of time kick, it trades in tension for shock, because we were watching The Transporter the other night, which is I think that's a good movie in a number of ways. It's definitely a good action movie. I think it does some other things right. Yeah, let me just hit all the switches without knowing what they're doing. What am I doing? Hey, can I get over there? Why did I hit both? What? No. Okay. Well. Hey, that's not real, is it? But like the scene where the detective is like walking around and about to walk to the front of the car and see that it's all banged up and yada yada, like that is a moment of building tension. And like even that would have kind of been ruined if like the way that tension had been ended is if like, oh, hello, okay, wait, so what are we doing here then? Hang on, did this turn into a puzzle while I wasn't paying attention? I guess so. I pressed these and something happened. And what happened? I thought I heard something open. Did something open in here? This did not open. That, in fact, closed. Or was that always a lip that I jumped down? No, I think that closed. That's there. I feel like I was onto something with the idea of like leap across, but I'm not seeing this happening. What have I done wrong here? Have I done something wrong here? What happened? Full speed. I mean, we've been here about an hour, and I wanted to keep it short tonight, so maybe these are not switches. Not switches along the backside of the lifts. There's something I need to shoot. So again, technically I'm not in DooM, I'm in a fork of it, and sometimes forks do things like depreciate functions, which make certain tricks not work anymore. I don't know if that's something that's happened here, or if just I was talking about the transporter and so totally missed something like that would have been clear, but since I wasn't paying attention before, I haven't noticed a change, you know? And you sure it's not this? I don't know. It just there's something cheap about doing the warp. I'm failing to really like analyze what feels so cheap about it to me and put into words right here, but it's definitely the sense of like it is the like pushing you into the pool form of shock value rather than the like. And you might think like, well, yeah, if you have a chance to brace for it, then you lose some of the shock. Like, I can see that, but like, I don't think that's true. Why would that be true? That's like, okay, if these two are tied together, is it something weird like something else is tied together with that? No. Not the backside here. I might have actually just broke this. I'll have to think more about that. I feel like I'm making some claims here, and then I'm failing to like support them and really like logic them out. My guess is something about this. So, whoa, wow. Yeah, that definitely feels like it would be the next step. All right, so now I got the red key, and this. I mean, so I was right. Those things were doors that opened. I don't know what I missed over here. That. Now I'm just curious what was supposed to happen here that I guess I broke or something. Yeah, it doesn't seem like I missed anything here. Where are we? Where is this? This is all over here. Red door. Where was red door? I'm gonna assume it was down over here. No, it wasn't. Maybe it was back at the start then? Bullets would be good. Not a lot of, in terms of the way of, again, for playing on very easy, but like not a lot in the way of, ammo on the floor. A lot of, here are, you know, a bunch of chaff enemies who will drop the ammo for you. That's fine. That's a reasonable way to do it. Whoa! There you go. Now that's an effect. Okay, and that's just the exit. Whoa, what? Okay. Are we in blood? You know, folks, I think I'm going to call it there, actually. As soon as we step into the research center. Attempt at nonlinearity. That is definitely director commentary and not, like, story. Yeah, I can't handle a nonlinear map right now, I'll be honest. All right, let's take it back to here. What are my headphones doing? That's better. Thank you for joining me. Short stream, late stream. But that's what we're doing tonight. This WAD is pretty cool so far. I have these complaints about what it's doing, like gameplay. What? Some of it's really smart. Some of it's sort of like, you know, like I was saying on that first level, like, oh, you're gonna give me shotgun start and then immediately open me into a room that's mostly shotgunners before I have any like real armor or something like that. And it's just like, oh, okay, so like you're being mean, but in like a really smart way, and you're like forcing me to walk a fine line that makes it hard, and I appreciate that. But then we got just relying so much on warp and stuff. This is gonna be a thing where like I'm gonna like take a shower 2 days from now and think about why monster warping in is so cheap and get back to it. Like I generally don't like it because I prefer to increase the space, and I personally, I think it is a more fun experience to like expand the area of the level to reveal more monsters, right? And like you are then like limited because like, oh, but you just came down a long hallway, so if I want to put monsters in right behind you, then they're either to the sides and behind corners or they're all the way at the far end. And I'm just like, yeah, so if you want that experience, you need to like build your, like you really need to think hard about building your level to create that experience, not just like this experience in this. It's like again, talking, we watched Transporter the other night, and I always think about that the axe fight in the tiny hallway, and they talk about like a good action scene is one that is only possible uh or a good action scene, the space that a fight, in order to make the location of the fight matter, it has to have an effect on the fight, right? So like, oh, if you're fighting in a narrow hallway, then the like the RV scene from Kill Bill, you know, when they're in a space that is not big enough for them to really draw and use their swords, and that creates like a really like novel fight because it is like this fight that's going on in a place, and the place puts rules on the fight, and something unique happens. It's, you know, if you're having a fight in an empty arena, you could have the same fight, you know, in the middle of a football field, on the roof of a building, you know, as soon as it doesn't matter, then like it could still be a good fight, but it's not as, you know, unique to the specific scene you're setting because, or to the specific story you're telling, because the story you're telling is multiple parts. It is the fight, but it's also the characters who are fighting, and it's where they're fighting, and like for things like that's how you make a fight that is memorable and feels really unique, right? It's like you like all of these parts go into a scene. It doesn't even have to be a fight, just a scene. You have all of these parts that go into a scene, and each one contributes something to the scene. So as long as you have different parts, you should always have different scenes. Maybe scenes that are largely the same. You know, there's only 7 stories. Love is found, love is lost, love gets revenged, whatever. But like, but that's like top level, and like sort of like middle and low level. You can get things that it's just like, it's like, no, this is why this scene is different because you know, we're fighting on this rooftop, but this rooftop has a lot of, you know, boxes and fans on it, and we're gonna have this like, oh, there's just one big exhaust fan, and we're gonna trying to push his face into it, and that's gonna be the tension moment, and you know, you a scene is made up of pieces. Use those pieces, interconnect them. That's usually how you end up with something that's pretty good, is when it's just like, oh right, this that's gestalt, right? It's just like, oh no, this isn't just all the parts assembled in a bag. This is all of the parts interconnected to make something that is more than just a list of the parts. You know, it is not just the parts, it is also the way the parts interconnect. Boy, I'm having a night, huh? I'm just going on now. Hey, WAD, next time we talk, I want to hear more One Most Fall music. I love, those are my jams. Thank you for joining me. I gotta go and shave all of this beard. If you like this, enjoy it now, because this is how long it gets when I need to shave it off before I start scratching at my face nonstop. So this is gone as soon as we're done recording here. I'm gonna do that. Until next time, stay home until, you know, everybody's vaccinated. Go out to get your vaccinations for sure. Otherwise, stay home. If you have to go out, wear a mask. Wash your hands more than you usually do. You probably should be washing your hands more than you usually do anyway. lift the help the help people who need help, who it's weird to say deserve help, because then who judges who deserves. Learn to recognize power dynamics, please, so that way you can tell who the people in a situation who actually need help are. Neutrality sides with the oppressor. Remember that. Lift voices. As long as they aren't saying we should kill all of a specific group of people, you shouldn't lift those voices. That's an easy baseline. We'll start there and get more nuance later. And the rule that underlines all the other rules is take care of one another. I'll see you next week. Whoops.